before we even get started, okay, because I don't want nobody coming for us. All right, please.
They're gonna do it anyway.
I implore you to watch the video. Don't just go over the thumbnail. As far as what you see the title is, please make sure that you watch the video. Because the purpose of our channel, as we always say, we talk about things that we were never told because we're trying to uplift and elevate our people for takeoff. Welcome
to the J&O Show,
where we talk about
things that we were never told. I'm Jay.
And I'm O.
And now you know.
If you guys are new to our channel, please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure you turn on those post notifications so you can know when we upload, because you never want to miss an episode.
Indeed.
Right? So today, I'm going to throw this little disclaimer in there before we even get started. Okay, because I don't want nobody coming for us. All right, please.
They're gonna do it anyway.
I implore you to watch the video. Don't just go over the thumbnail. As far as what you see the title is, please make sure that you watch the video. Because the purpose of our channel, as we always say, we talk about things that we were never told because we're trying to uplift and elevate our people for takeoff. Okay, we want to make sure that we talk up to our people. But in order for us to be able to take off, we got to get real with ourselves, and we really have to be able to sit down and talk about these things that we haven't really spoken on. All right, so that's a little disclaimer. Okay, but today, for today's episode, we wanted to kind of piggyback off of our video from last week and kind of go a little deeper into about the issues between Black women and Black men when it pertains to relationships. This week we want to talk about specifically the problem with the Black woman. Yes, I said that. The problem with the Black woman, Black, brown woman. Yes, I'm one of you. Okay, so I'm talking about myself too. All right. But we feel as though it's important for us to talk about these things because, as I mentioned last week, if we don't know our past, we're doomed to repeat it. If we don't understand why we do the things that we do, we will continue to do it and pass it down from generation to generation, as we have been doing. All right. And so we found it very important to be able to kind of talk about that.
Y'all see how quiet I've been, right? Bruh. I've been quiet on purpose because... Why
you so quiet, babe?
You think I want to have a conversation about what's wrong with Black women? I'm married and I still don't want no part of that problem. All right, so look. There's a lot to unpack in that subject. We're going to try to be concise. It's going to be hard to, because it is more important for me for people to understand what we're saying than for me to just get through a bunch of bullet points. So there may be a part 2 to this section, but I want people to understand and to get a different perspective, to see certain things perhaps in themselves and perhaps in the people around them. I guess another disclaimer, this isn't everybody. Right. Don't sit there and go, well, you ain't talking about me. So since you ain't talking about me, I ain't even got to worry about all of that. No. Honestly, look at yourself.
Right. Take a long look.
Honestly, whether... Yeah.
Long look.
That. like that. Take a long look at yourself, whether you're having issues finding a mate, or if you're in a relationship and there's constantly issues and drama going on. These may be some things that are plaguing you like they're plaguing everybody else. All right, so.
And that's okay, because, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, okay? And knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Wow.
Sorry. Show my age.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so some of the things that we wanted to talk about, and I had to write some of them down so I didn't forget what it was. Okay, as far as the role that women have played in the home, and I'm talking about Black women here. Black women were just portraying roles that they were fed by white media.
Right.
I want you to really think about that. This is the rule or the role that white women played in their homes. At this point, we're talking about the invention of television, which goes back to the 50s and the 60s. So you have to understand that in large part, what a lot of us patterned ourselves after, and of course we're talking about older generations. We're not talking about newer generations right now, even though they bear some of the consequences of that stuff.
It's still lingering in there. It's still
You're
lingering.
bearing some of the consequences, but directly, you know, a lot of, like we were saying, understanding your history.
Right.
A lot of what we thought a wife and a husband were supposed to be were based on archetypes that were fed to us by a media that did not live the lifestyle that we lived, were not in our positions.
Right.
So we're expecting things from our men and from our women that are not realistic to who we are and what our situations are.
Right.
What do you mean? Mm-hmm. So we're looking at this thing, and we got this one white guy going to work, being able to work that one job at this time. And we know things have radically changed, but we're still dealing with the consequences of these things. Right. And he would come home from his one job and be able to spend some time with the family. And the wife was home all day, making sure the kids were okay. You know, and eventually it turned into the soccer mom thing. Right. But in the beginning, you know, everybody would go to school and go to work and drop them off. And then you would work, and then you would get out of work in town to go pick the kids up from school. Some miracle. Or the wife had a car and she was able to go get them and bring them home. Right. And that one job would be able to take care of everybody in the house. Right. At what point in human history did us as black folk have the situation where a man having one job was enough to take care of the whole household, buy a house, have 2.5 kids, a dog,
and a white picket fence?
When was that us?
Never ever.
And
never ever.
Yeah, like, okay, so now there are people in everything that we're going to say. Anytime you generalize, there are going to be outliers. Okay, first of all.
There's always an exception.
There's always going to be people who were rich back when TV was invented. There were rich black people. Right. I don't know where.
But that wasn't the norm.
That was not the norm. And the thing is, we're building our societies based on the norm. Our expectations are based on the norm. And the norm that we were fed is that our men are able to go and do this and make enough money that we can do that. And then what works for us, knowing what we're knowing about the big subject now of systematic oppression, was a black man able to go out and do this? Until the last, what would you say? Maybe the last 30 years? Would you say the last 30 years? It's been more prominent?
Yeah.
Because it's always been there. Right. But as far as it being prominent, and then even if you start to poll how many black people were doing this, it was the extreme minority of black people, of black men are able to actually go out there and make a certain amount of money and bring it home. Right. And be able to take care of everything with that one job, and then have plenty of time to have family too. Right. And have time to make sure that their relationship with their wife good. Right. And have enough time to sit back and watch a football game.
And spend time with their kids.
So all of that. And that has not been our norm. That has been the exception. There have always been people who've been able to do it, but what percentage of us? Right. And why are we looking at that as how our lives should be? So what does that do? Black women start looking at the man like, what's wrong with you? Right. You lazy? Why you can't get that job? Right. Why you ain't do this? Why? Because when I go in there and the boss talk to me a certain way and I look at him a certain way, he gets scared. And I'm talking about back then. Not so much now. But I can tell you definitely in the 90s, you said something crazy to a black man and he looked at you a certain way, your boss would get a little uncomfortable because he knew he stepped over a line. So what did he want? What is his response? Well, I'd rather hire white guys, white women, and black women.
So I ain't got to deal with them.
So I ain't got to deal with, if I yell at you because I'm having a bad day or something's going off at work, I don't want somebody that's going to look at me and physically intimidate me. Right. Because you like, yo, I don't care who you is, you ain't going to talk to me like you crazy. Right. You must have lost your mind. That's how it was for a good maybe 10, 20 years. Right. Especially in the 90s. We wasn't playing that. Right.
And kind of going back to, so that's background, that's history, right? So going back to the point of the issue with black women, as Jay said, giving you that whole history lesson. So when you sit and you think about all of that and how that has affected our community in the sense that our men have not been able to be the sole provider. Sometimes they may not have been able to be a provider for a myriad of different reasons. Dealing with all of that, of course, systemic racism and everything like that. So, and actually to your point just now when you were saying like a a company, when they're looking to hire people, right? They'll hire the white man first, then probably the white female, and then the black woman. The black men is they're not, that's not in the equation for the most part. You understand what I'm saying? And then so when you look at today, when you have a lot of black women who are in these high power positions now, who make all this money, and they're just like, what is it? I think we saw a video. There was, they were saying, what is it? It's a thing where apparently where black women are talking about, I have to not settle. What was the word that they used? I have to,
marry down?
Yeah, I have to marry down.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, because they can't find a man who makes as much or more than what they do. And so they're just like, oh, I have to marry down. And I think that it's unfortunate, number one, to have that as a thought process, that you're marrying down because the man isn't necessarily making as much as you are, especially when you think about everything, the totality of what we talked about. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is an excuse for black men who are out there who are not trying, because you do have those, okay? Let's be real. We do have those.
Bro, get your stuff together.
Yeah, we do have those that are out there that ain't doing nothing. They just sitting at home chilling, and they having their baby mama or whoever take care of them. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the brothers who are out there who are actually really trying to get things done, but they may not have had the opportunities to be able to be in a situation where they can make six figures. Okay. And just as a sidebar, that is not majority. That's not majority. That's a very small percentage of us that actually make six figures. There are some out there, obviously, and we even have, of course, millionaires and stuff like that out there, but that's a small percentage. But anyway, getting back to that, when you have the we talked about the independent woman and how that kind of, all of this, basically, it all ties into each other, how it has kind of destroyed the family structure in a sense, because not the concept of independent woman, but what it turned into, because of course there always has to be a negative. The independent woman movement kind of had to come about in the sense that because our men were taken away from us, whether it was the war, whether it was jail, this, that, and the third, we had to make sure that we can be able to be there to provide for ourselves and our children. That makes sense. And there's nothing wrong with that. And as we mentioned in those previous videos, that it would behoove you, behoove anyone to make sure that you can do just that. But when it gets to the point where you start doing things like talking down, talking about, I gotta marry down or date down, like, why the negativity? We have to understand our history. We have to understand the invisible handcuffs that have been on our men for years, you know, and to a certain extent are still there. So we have to take that into consideration when we're thinking about our men and how much that they're able to bring in. And I mentioned this also in last week's video. We have to stop looking at white America, okay, or just, excuse me, Caucasian America, or all these other, well, no, I can't say all these others, pretty much Caucasian America. We have to stop looking at them as far as what sets the tone or the norm for what our lives look like. We have to be realistic. And as I mentioned last week, our other cultures, our Latino brothers and sisters, our Asians, our Indians, and to me, just about any other nationality or culture, they don't have these type of issues that we do. I don't see the women coming down on the men like we do kind of as a whole. And again, I know it's not everybody, but there's enough and a large percentage that's making enough noise to like browbeat our men. And that's bad. Like, why are we dogging out our own men? And then they wonder why black men don't have black women's back, because we don't have their back. We can't be sitting around men, what's the word I'm looking at? Browbeaten, you know, are bashing our men. We're supposed to be here to be a helpmeet, okay? Biblically, that, now I know everybody ain't necessarily Christian and everything like that, but I'm sorry, that's what I'm gonna speak from, because that's what I am. I believe in the Bible, okay? And what it talks about, it talks about the wife is supposed to be a helpmeet. So we can't sit around and browbeat and talk down, you know, about our men and expect us to be able to, one, get them, for those women who are out there saying, well, why do I have to marry down? I don't understand why I have to settle. Or why is it that I can't find a man making X amount of money that I'm making? Is that money is not everything. Don't get me wrong, it helps. Okay, it helps a whole lot. All right, but money is not everything, and we really have to sit down and take a hard look in the mirror and understand where we've come from, figure out what our values are and what is important to us as individuals as well as a people, and let that be the standard as far as what you're looking for. I'm happy that it seems as though the coming generations are starting to get that, even when it comes to beauty, because obviously, like we said before, for the longest time, the standard was the Caucasian couple, the Caucasian woman, the Caucasian male. That is what was the standard of beauty. We were taught that you had to have blonde hair and blue eyes. Your hair had to be bone straight. You had to be this big. You couldn't have no butt. You couldn't. No. And I'm happy that now we are understanding and seeing how beautiful we are and how just different cultures are, period. Like, there's beauty. You can find beauty in every culture. You know what I mean? And to each his own. Some people might like that. Some people might not. But we have to figure out what is our standard and be okay with that and push that in the spotlight and not push everyone else's viewpoint as far as how our family should look in regards to physical appearance as well as financial appearance, as far as status, those terms, keeping up with the Joneses and all that kind of stuff. Like, all of that ties back in to what the whole history lesson that Jermaine gave in the beginning of the video, just talking about where all of that comes from. Yeah.
Yep. I'm so happy I was able to stay quiet for a lot of this video. So all of the fire and all of the flames ain't coming towards me.
Yeah.
So in all honesty, I'm looking at the time. We only got through point number 1 and we got at least 2-3 more to go. So we're going to have to come back at you guys with another video on this subject, which we knew this was going to happen. I'm being honest with you, we knew. And for those of you, you know, who might be feeling a little burned and a little salty, because why they coming at black women? Why they don't talk about everything? Well, first of all, we've been talking about what's wrong with the black women for the last 30 years, black man for the last 30 years, because it's been a spotlight on us. You know, from us being called super predators and all of that other stuff, there's been a spotlight on black men. And I think that there needs to be balance. But just for y'all, we are gonna do a video called Black Men Ain't
Don't worry, like I said, we
gonna come for everybody.
Yeah, we getting us all together.
We all gonna get it.
Because like I said, in order for us to elevate, in order for us to take off, we got to get to the root, okay, of our issues. Not the root, but the root. The root. Of our issues, indeed. All right? So we got to take it point by point. So bear with us. But I mean, if you got value, or like you said, if you, whatever your thoughts are, drop it down in the comments and let us know. This is designed for us to be able to have conversation. Right. In order for us to get better, these are things that we have to talk about. We have to get it out there. And we want feedback. Even if it's something that you don't agree with it. That's cool. We can agree to disagree.
Or you could put me up on my history and help me get my stuff together. Okay. That is another thing. I'm very open to learning different things. A lot of the videos I've been watching lately are with people that I don't 100% agree with. Right. And it's giving me perspective. And so that is another thing too. Like, this is a learning experience. One of the things, a lot of people don't speak out because they don't want to be told they're wrong. Right. And that is something that you have to get over in order to be able to grow. Right. And I'm getting to that point. I'm not going to act like I'm there, but I'm getting to that point where I'm learning that. I'm trying to figure it out and trying to get it in my mind. Jermaine, you ain't always right. So you got to be prepared for somebody to come for you. And guess what? They probably going to have some good points, which is going to start to chip away at your point of view, but it's going to fine tune it. And I would rather be put on the path to understanding than to always be right. Right.
All right, so that's going to do it for today's topic, you guys. We hope that you enjoyed and got some value from our content, even though we know that this is going to be a touchy subject. Like we said, I hope that you guys actually watched the video and not just read the thumbnail and decided to leave a comment. Yeah. Okay, hopefully you guys did all that. But we wanted to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, since this will be Christmas Day that you guys will see this. We hope that you guys are enjoying time with your loved ones and that you're just taking some time for yourself. Maybe even if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, all of that this holiday season. Hopefully you guys are taking some time just to be with yourself, if nothing else, and just kind of relax, relate, release. This has been a long but short but long year, because 2020 just flew by. It was like 2 months and the year was over. It's crazy. But anyway, we hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Like we said, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we will see you guys next week. Deuces.
Press the off button.